Hi everyone, it's Eleana here from Lavinia Stamps design team. Thank you for joining me today, and I would like to share with you how I made this card, Astrid, a beautiful under the water themed card. So I'm going to be using VersaFine Clair Nocturne to stamp Astrid out first, and then we're going to create our colour wash for our background, and for that I'm going to use Brusho's Sea Green. Then for the rest of the stamping we're going to use VersaFine Clair Purple Delight, Warm Breeze, Bluebell, and then Twilight. For the round the edge of the card I'm going to be using one of the new stencils, and this one's Ambience, which is a lovely stencil and perfect for our under the water card. I'm going to be using Bruynzeel Watercolour pencils just to colour in our card, just by doing our sea urchins and creating a bit of colour on our beautiful Astrid. I'm also going to use the white orb stencil just to create our bubbles, and also going to be using some titanium white PanPastel just to use on our bubbles, a Stardust glitter pen, Posca pens, a light blue one and a white one, and that's just to create some little dots around Astrid. So for the stamps I'm going to be using Astrid, Sea Urchins, Shoal of Fish, Water Spirit Verse, and this beautiful sea flower. So let's get started. For today's card I'm using a piece that is 5 inches by 7.5 inches, and I've just popped that into my stamping platform. So I've just popped Astrid in the bottom right corner, and I'm going to stamp her in VersaFine Clair Nocturne. So I'm going to pick this up, ink her up now. So we're just going to make sure we get all of that beautiful fine detail on her, and then we're going to stamp her. And there is our beautiful Astrid, all nicely stamped up. So I'm just going to pop her to the side, and I've got my little container here, and I'm going to use Brusho's Sea Green. So I'm just going to pop a little bit into my pot. So I'm just using that tiny amount, and then I'm going to add some water to it. So we're just going to put a bit of water in. Which is about 1/3 of my container. And then with my brush I'm just going to give that a quick stir. And then we're going to quickly do a colour wash on our card. So I'm just going to use this now and just quickly apply some of this onto our card. So there we have the starting of our card with a nice, gentle, quick background wash. So I've popped my card back into my stamping platform, and I'm just going to position my sea urchins. And for that, I'm going to use VersaFine Clair Nocturne, and then going to stamp it. And then I'm going to pop a piece of copier paper over our sea urchins and give this a good press down. And there we have our secondary sea urchins. So now we just need to cut the top off around our sea urchins. So I've quickly just cut out my sea urchins, and I'm just going to pop that into place. I'm going to be using this beautiful sea flower, so I'm just going to pop this into place. So I think we'll just have that one there. And for stamping with, I'm going to use VersaFine Clair Purple Delight. So I'm just going to pick that up and then just stamp it up. So now I'm going to use the shoal of fish. So I'm just going to pop that into place just here. And I'm going to get another piece of copier paper ready. Because we're going to do that in second generation. So I'm going to use VersaFine Clair Warm Breeze. So we need to ink this up. Put our piece of copier paper over. Give this a stamp. And then we're going to take the second generation. So we've got a gentle image of the shoal of fish in the distance. And then we can pop another shoal of fish just above it to the right. So again, I'm just going to ink this up. I'm going to use the same piece of copier paper. Stamp it and then stamp it again. So that we've got another shoal of fish in the distance. So I'm going to use this lovely water spirit verse. So I'm going to start off by just placing it in the top left corner, and I'm also going to be using my mask just to protect my sea urchins as I stamp down the left side and then the right side. So for stamping with, I'm going to use VersaFine Clair Bluebell. So I'm going to pick this up and then ink it up. Put my piece of copier paper in place, stamp it, and then stamp onto our card. So we're going to come all the way down the left and all the way down the right. So now we've done all of our stamping, and now we're just going to create a bit more interest to our background just by using a stencil, and I'm using one of the new ones, and this one's called Ambience, and I'm just going to pop that down over the right side, and to blend with I'm going to use VersaFine Clair Warm Breeze. So I'm just going to use my stencil brush, and we're just going to start off just building this up gently. So I'm just going round the top corners, the top right corner and the bottom right corner. So I'm going to get that going, and then I'm just going to move my stencil across, and then we're just going to work in that top left corner, and then just gently just blend that out. So I'm just having a look, just a bit of blending there, a bit more there, right. So that's all of the inking and blending done, and now the fun part of adding colour to it. So I'm going to be using these beautiful Bruynzeel watercolour pencils. And I'm going to use this lovely pink to start off with. So we're just going to gently just add a bit of colour to our beautiful Astrid. And then I'm just going to add just a little bit on her cheekbone here. And around this side. And we can do her lips too. And then I'm going to move over to our sea flowers, and I'm just quickly applying a bit of colour to them. So I just quickly colour these in. And then I'm going to do one of the sea urchins in pink too, just so that it all ties in nicely. So I'm just going to build up a bit of shadow around the edges. There. And I'm going to do another pink one here. So I'll just quickly colour that one in. Go to this blue and then colour the stripy one in. So we're just going to quickly colour that one in and then colour that one in. And then I'm going to use this goldy brown colour just to do the final two with. So we're just basically just putting down a bit of colour to start to build our scene on. And just do the sand too. And then I'm going to go back to the pink, and we can just gently just colour some of our hair in. So I think we'll just try this light blue one first. To this darker blue now, and we're just going to gently just add a bit more colour to her hair. There. I think we'll do this strand again. We'll just do this hair underneath here. Just do a bit of a darker blue. I'm going back to that pink just to add a bit more colour to it. And then I'm going to use a grey, and I'm just going to apply this just to the inside of her eyes. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of grey just on that dip on the top lip, and just a little bit more of a grey shadow on her. And then we're just going to work on our nose now. So I'm just going to follow and just do a bit of shading on that nose. So if I just lift this up, you can see where all that gentle colouring is on her face, because we want it gentle. So now we just need to blend all of that in nicely. And then we just need to do a bit more work just on these. So I'm just going to use my pink watercolour pencil, and I'm just using my brush with a bit of water, and then we're just going to apply just a little bit of shadow to our sea flowers and our sea urchins, and then we can just blend this in nicely. So I'm just going to quickly just put a bit of shadow on these, and we can just blend that out a little bit more. And then we just want to do a bit of shading on this sea urchin here, and we can always go back and build that up there. There we are. A bit more shadow, I think. There. Now we're going to go to the blue next. So again, just by putting my brush in the water and then just rolling it over our watercolour pencil, and then we can just gently just do a bit of shading on our sea urchin. So I just want to get that there. And then I'm going to just do the last two. So I'm just using the same watercolour pencil just to add a bit of shading there. And then I'm just going to use this lovely reddy pink colour just to pop a bit of colour to the left side of her lip, and then we're just going to gently just pull that out, just so that we've got a bit of shading and highlights on her. So now we're going to create some bubbles. So I'm going to use this white orb stencil, and I'm just going to pop that first just along this side. And I think we'll have one here. So I'm just using my blue watercolour pencil just to go around and draw these circles. So we've got two bubbles here. So now you can see all of those circles we've done. And all we're going to do now is with the same pencil is we're just going to shade the top of our bubbles. So we're just going to do the very tops. And then I'm going to go back to using the water, just taking off the excess, and now we're just going to pull that colour downwards. So just keep pulling it down, and the same on this side, just pull it down. So now we've got all of our bubbles coloured in. So again, I'm going to go back to using the water with my brush, and then we're just going to use the brush on the nib, and then we can just start to add a bit more shading. There. And a bit more on this one. So I'm just bringing that around a bit more. Get this blended a bit more. It's a little bit darker. So we're just going to get that going. And this one here. So just using the water, taking the bit of the excess off, and then you're just running your brush over your pencil. So a bit more, I think. There. And now I'm going to use Face of Fine Clear Twilight just to do a bit of blending around the edge of the card. And now we're going to use our white Posca pen, and all we're going to do is do a little dash and then a long line, little dash, then a long line. There. There. And then I'm going to use some PanPastel titanium white. And all we're going to do now is over some of these bubbles, we're just going to just add a bit of white to them. So we just lift that up, and there we have our beautiful bubbles. Now I have glued this onto some white card, and now I'm just going to use my layer guide. So I'm going to do my first border at 1/16 of an inch. Now I've glued it onto some blue card, and now I'm going to trim it to 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to use my ruler, pop it against my work, and then just trim it all down. And that's the card finished. I hope you have enjoyed it. Please take care, and I hopefully will see you all soon. Bye for now. Bye.